mass media. And this is funny but true. I, as a laywoman, was on the mass media, but not anymore. This is the situation. So I don't want to go into open confrontation because it is too much. I feel satisfied that I have got this much. And of course, the present bhikkhunis must prove themselves and make an effect, some impression on the present society. And it is a battle to be won. I think the international community is with us. Again and again I come, and again I am encouraged to see you all. I am not alone in this battle. So we feel so confident that in the near future, maybe there is a time when the bhikkhunis will gain ground and will feel themselves felt. And this international arena is something very important for us. I must remember Venerable Sister Kema, Aya Kema, who first gave me this idea and asked me to come for this inaugural meeting at Buddha Gaya. That made everything different for me, my whole life. And the next thing that impressed me was translating Daughters of the Buddha, Sakya Gita, and where Venerable Lekshe Soma was editing. And that gave me insights which I had never known. So by that time I had done a research on the nuns of Sri Lanka. I only knew it was a hopeless situation. I only knew that they had no chance, and that's how I started talking about the bhikkhunis, and I had no place. And somehow I even cannot imagine how I came up to this situation. From the depths of despair of the nuns, the 10 precept nuns, we have reached up to this place is quite creditable. So at the present, of course the lay women are always with us in the sense that most of them they don't know the difference between the monk and the nun. Those who know, maybe they support the monks better. Anyway, they support the monks better, they are very powerful. But recently I have found this, that the poorer women in the village, they like the nuns better because the nuns are easier to support. They need less food, less dana, and they are not so demanding. And also they can come closer to the nuns. And then they come, this kind of proselytization that is going on, the Christians taking over and converting women, and also like helping women with maybe counseling and holding pujas when there is death, so many deaths because their sons died in the war. And these women, they come to the temple, to the nuns, and we hold pujas and we help them with counseling according to the Dhamma. So the nuns are becoming more popular at that level. And then I must congratulate Ranjani. She's now helping the nuns to learn how to do some social service so that the nuns become more integrated with the society. And the women are find it easier to meet the nuns. But still it's not enough because the nuns themselves lack monastic training. They have no training centers where they can be a sort of what I would see in Taiwan and Korea, where they are very well established in their monastic training, which we lack. I think that discipline is most important. I must put this as a problem to this international forum to provide us with monastic training, a proper place where we really get the discipline and also the knowledge and also meditation, not only the outward discipline. Meditation up to a point is working because actually the meditation centers, some of these nuns and women, most of the women to go for meditation, and there they practice sunyata, not only that, the sublime states, and they understand the Dhamma because we are very close to Pali. We even read the Pali language. So we understand the Dhamma itself. But my worry is not the understanding of it, but the application of it in daily life, every moment. Because that is the thing that can effect a change in the hearts and minds of the world. So we have to give very strong emphasis to this kind of thing. And while I would not confront the monks and lay society to an extent, for it could become more complicated, but I am taking a path of least resistance. But I am doing a kind of work where we go on with our mental. I am staying in the meditation center, and thousands of women come for instruction. So while we have to yet go for monastic training centers, a dual process of meditation and training, I think will soon put us back, and we will get what we expect to in the future. And I hope, and maybe I will just note of I would say that the women, they say that if you have to be equal to a man, you have to be 3 times as good, and that is not difficult. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhikkhuni Kusuma, for your subversive activities. Our last speaker at the first session is Shamanerika Tenzing Datun from Bhutan. She has been studying in India for the last 7 years and training at Jamyang Chiling Institute near Dharamsala. So we welcome you.
Respected venerables and sisters, first of all, I would like to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to talk in front of you all. To say a few words about the nuns of Bhutan. Like in Bhutan, we have quite a number of nunneries, and each nunnery has about 40 to 50 nuns. Except for the 2 government-sponsored nunneries, the rest of the nunnery are supported by private donations offered by the local people. As a whole, the nuns do not get an opportunity to study like the monks do. But the nuns do learn to read, so they are able to read and memorize prayers and the scriptures recited for the sick and for the people who have died, and also to clear away the obstacles. When people offer money for special pujas, like the rituals and prayer ceremonies, the money is kept to be used for the nunnery, for food and other necessities. When the nuns are invited to conduct prayers in private homes, they are allowed to keep the money for their own use. The nuns know how to read and some know how to write, but very few understands the meaning of the text they are reciting, which is very much for the practice of the Buddhism. The nuns in the 2 government-recognized nunneries receive only rupees 200 per month for the food and other necessities, but that is not sufficient, so they must find additional support in order to eat and build their own housings. The nunneries in Bhutan are built very far away from towns and roads, so the nuns have to walk for an hour or two, and sometimes even for a whole day to get the supplies. The nuns have no intensive study program, but their day typically begins from 4 in the morning and continues until 9 in the evening. Most nuns get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start memorizing the prayers used for the pujas. Between 6 and 7:30, they gather for the morning prayers. After 1 hour for breakfast, they gather for prayer again until 12 noon, with just a very short break. After 1 hour for lunch, they again start to practice their religious musical instruments and rituals until 3 p.m. Then they have prayers until 9 in the evening, after which they go to their own rooms and prepare dinner. Most of the nuns do not eat lunch because they have not much time to cook in the afternoon. Instead, they drink tea and take some small snack with it. During the sacred months and on the days when they practice the fasting rituals, which is called Nyungni in Tibetan, and recite the mantras of the different meditational deities for a month or longer. These days, most of the nuns have begun to understand the importance of education, and many have gone to India to study Buddhist philosophy. I'm among those who is studying in India, and I've been studying in Tamil training for nearly 9 years. I think that's all. Thank you.
We have time for perhaps 1 or 2 questions before break for tea. If anyone would like to ask a question of any of our panelists. Yes.
And little by little, there was a change of heart. And now I find, I'm staying in Colombo 7, I find the rich ladies in Colombo. Most of them have taken to meditation. This is a very good sign. So though the war left its signs of deterioration, along with it came a change of heart. Good question. I think we are picking up in that way. Only if there is more life and relaxation and the war is over and people become normal and economically they prosper, I think Sri Lanka will pick up again. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question to Dr. Tia Moore. I'm Maria Abito of the Museum of World Religions. I found it very interesting what you said about Sakyadhita in terms of intersection of secular and sacred self-determination. And you mentioned what the West learns from the East, which is techniques of meditation and psychology and also the study of texts. And my question is, I didn't get your conclusion. Do you conclude that women who are socially, so I wonder if this is something that also is something in your experience, or do you see that women tend to become Buddhists?
To summarize your question a bit, she is asking Dr. Tea about the intersection between secular activity and sacred activity. How do we integrate? What is your conclusion about how Western women, are you concerned with Western women?
Yes.
Yes, how Western
because
women.
she started speaking from the Christian background first, and then what happens?
Okay.
This is not among my conclusions, because 15 years are quite short in the history of this Buddhist movement. But however, it can happen, and it happens to a number of the contributors to the conferences, that some are going back or tracing their own religious roots. And if this is combined with an enlargement of experience, meaning to say that Western women come with a secular background and enlarge their experience by the sacred motivation of Buddhism, then going back to their own roots would be totally different. Is that an answer to your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
One last question.
I have a question to Kusuma Devendra. I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce it. From Sri Lanka. I think I just listening to your talk, and I asked my neighbor, and so I was wondering where the Sri Lankan non-ordained which tradition, because I believe in many political regions, Sri Lankan monk do not accept Christian lineage, and she told me she ordained from Korean monk. It is true. And then how the Sri Lankan monk react for your ordination? Do they accept your ordination or not?
Your question is very important, whether we are accepted or not. We did get, the first ordination was for us through the Korean Sangha, and we ever look up to them. But the trouble here is the hierarchy. Not all the monks. The hierarchy is in Sri Lanka very dominant, and they sit over the ministry of Buddha Sasana. So the ministry has no chance to take a decision on the nuns without the sanction of the hierarchy. So now the hierarchy does not give that sanction. With the result, the state does not recognize the bhikkhunis. So it all boils down to this fact. If only the state will patronize, then we have nothing to worry. And that must be with the collaboration of the monks. So, but while the general public, the monks are with us, we still are not formally recognized.
Okay.
We will be discussing this question in further detail in the coming days. Also, please keep your questions and enjoy your tea. We'll meet back here again at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Venerable Shikan Ching wanted me to remind you that we have plenty of refreshments out there, so please enjoy yourself. And also here we would like to acknowledge Venerable Han Qing's help for today's conference here, and also her anonymous disciple who has taken over the expenses, for our conference here today. So we would like to thank them all for doing that. Okay, we can move now to the refreshments, please.
질문 하나 건졌지 아까.
네, 맞아요.
Part of our panel on understanding Buddhist women around the world. We have 6 panelists here this afternoon, and they come from 4 different countries. And we have 2 panelists who come from Nepal, where our last Sakyadhita conference was held. And I would like to briefly introduce the first speaker this afternoon to you. She is Dr. Nivedita Kumari Mishra from Nepal. She is a lecturer in the Department of Sanskrit at the Tribhuvan University in Kathmandu, Nepal. And she will speak to us today about the duties and lifestyles of Buddhist women in Neva Buddhism, which is prevalent in the Kathmandu Valley. And if you would like to say a few words of introduction about yourselves, since I don't have all the information, please do so.
Thank you. Thank you, and namaste, all of you. I am Nivedita, and I teach in Sanskrit. I teach in university, Tribhuvan University, and I teach Buddhist studies too. That's all. I have done PhD in Buddhism, Vajrayana, and I'm working I'm working and doing research, more research, and on the topic of Buddhism, on the different topic of Buddhism, related to, of course, Mahayana Buddhism, and again related to Sanskrit-based Mahayana Buddhism. And my paper is, now I'm going to present the paper which is related to Nepalese women who belong to a particular society which is called Neva Society, and they are the aborigine of Nepal, and they are Buddhist practitioners, and they practice the philosophy of Buddhism through rituals. So even the lay person can understand the philosophy, the core philosophy of Buddhism through small and easy ritualistic methods. Thank you. I must proceed with my paper. Thank you. Buddhist lay women in Nepal. Buddhist thought highlights the moral character of men and women both, but women are the pivot around whom practical and religious societies revolve. They play important roles regarding the development and preservation of social and religious values. The flow of Buddhism in past centuries and even today is the outcome of devotional and honest effort of not only men but women too. We have found numerous jatakas and avadans filled with those stories which reveal the contribution of women in exhilarating the notion of Buddhism among more and more people. The women in Nepal also have been remained involved in the preservation and development of Buddhism since Lichvi era, a royal dynasty which belonged to 300 AD to 800 AD. The historical and religious ups and downs are mentioned in the valuable ancient scriptures, yet they are not related to the present political map of Nepal. It is the historical fact that the Kathmandu Valley was known as Nepal till the death of 17th century, when all kingdoms spread around near and far from the Kathmandu Valley till the Indian and Chinese border were unified and given the name Nepal by His Majesty Prithvi Narayan Shah. The inscriptional evidences found inside the valley related to the events of Nepal, of course the valley, present the vivid descriptions of its cultural and religious society. Henceforth, the word Nepal will signify only the Kathmandu Valley. Earlier traces of Buddhism in Nepal. On the basis of inscriptional and epigraphical evidences, the history of Nepal goes back to the 5th century AD. Yet, various scholars have come to the conclusion that Buddhism entered into the Kathmandu Valley well before 4th century AD. The inscriptional evidences belonging to Lichvi era reveal the concept that Mahayana Buddhism was in vogue during those periods inside the valley. Early Buddhist scriptures, mostly Mahayanic, the Nav Granthas, there are 9 Granthas which reveal the Mahayanic notions. I have given the names under the, in the footnotes, which are kept and cared with full respect from generation to generations in Buddhist community Newar, are all composed in Sanskrit language, the dominant media of Mahayana Buddhism, and mention of those auspicious scriptures in the inscriptions during Lichvi regime confirm that Mahayana Buddhism entered in the valley in its early phases. Mahayana continued flourishing and expanding along with Vajrayana, a developed branch of Mahayana, to 12th century AD, while by this time Vajrayana overspread in the valley in the form of Tantra, though Vajrayana was not unknown even during Lichvi period too. There are evidences found inside Kathmandu Valley of women's involvement in the Buddhist practices during those era too. Not only the Bhikshuni Sangh were there, but there are other inscriptions also which focus on the fact that the lay women were similarly active during those days, Lichvi period, in the propagation and preservation of Buddhism by supporting Sangha through donations and thereby getting merits and prosperity for their family members and entire creatures of the world. In the process of categorizing the members of Sangha, it is pointed out that Upasakas and Upasikas are the men and women who combine their observance of the Dharma teachings with the householders' responsibilities. Princess Bhrikuti, the another prominent figure of ancient, used to venerate them with great sincerity. That's why she could not part with them when her marriage proposal was settled. She took priceless Buddhist images as her dowry to Tibet and propagated Buddhism, the early phase of Vajrayana Buddhism, through the medium of meritorious deeds such as temple constructions, wholeheartedly thus earning the name of White Tara. The internal inscriptions found inside the valley and the external historical evidences, such as mentioned in Tibetan histories, confirm the gradual pavement of early Buddhism towards later Buddhism, that is Vajrayana, inside the valley. In due course of time, Mahayana, of course Vajrayana, got a strong footing here and continued to flow till death. Newar Buddhist Society. Along with men, women also participate moral precepts and follow the doctrinal theme of Mahayana through various rites and rituals in Newar Buddhist Society of Nepal. Since the paper is mainly related to the Buddhist practice of Newar Society, a brief introduction of Newar Society is needed here. The Newar Society mainly follows either Buddhism or Hinduism. Buddhist Newar Society consists of two wings, the Upasak and the Bare, the Buddhist practitioners. Bare is the colloquial term for Buddhist practitioners. The Bare class is the highly revered group in Newar Buddhist community. Vajracharyas and Shakya are the two prominent groups who are considered the spiritual guides of the lay people, or they are called Bare also. They are also called Gubhaju, Guru the teacher, Bhaju is the address by lay Buddhists of this particular community. Vajracharyas are the married Buddhist practitioners. The word Vajracharya itself signifies that their religious status is related to the rituals and philosophy of Vajrayana. The Vajracharyas, only having got Vajra master's initiation, can act as a priest for Buddhist laity. Theirs is the only whose primary identity is a tantric priest. It is natural that getting married is essential for them. Shakyas are the another almost equally revered group of Newar society. There is not much difference between Shakya and Vajracharyas except Acharya initiation, which is especially given to Vajracharyas only. Shakya also can have this initiation on their own, but however, they cannot be recognized as a priest. Newar, either Hindu or Buddhist, are mostly confined to the Kathmandu Valley. In this connection, it should be noted that Buddhist women of Nepal are the Buddhist women of Newar society residing in the valley. There exists other Buddhist society apart from Newar, but this paper will focus on the observances followed by Newar Buddhist women for widely. Buddhism in Nepal means Buddhism in Newar society. The theme of Mahayana advocates the idea of Bodhisattva, who embodies the highest state of wisdom and compassion, in which all sexual and social discriminations have been eliminated. Every being, whether male or female, ordained or lay, is considered a potential Buddha. Every sentient being thus possesses Buddha nature. Buddha nature is termed as Prabhaswar in Sadharma Pundrik Sutra. Prabhaswar, the word, it is the Sanskrit word. The word stands for shining light. Shining light or clear light is self-cognizant. It has no form and is dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the mind aspect of Buddha. Shunyata Prabhasa form is fully discussed in Tathagat Garv, which is considered as great Madhyamik. The meaning of clear light is self-cognizant and unfabricated original wakefulness primordially present in the mind of the sentient beings of three realms. The thought relevant to this theme is depicted through the verses of Upay Kaushal Parivarth of Sadharma Pundrik, where the Lord says, he wishes that all the sentient beings may acquire all the 32 specialities and become the self-cognizant knower of the true nature of the world and the self-originated. Mahayana thus emphasizes on the theme that any being who follows the moral precepts and do meritorious deeds can acquire Buddhahood, for he or she or any creature possesses Buddha nature. It will be clear in following lines that the Vajrayana is a branch of Mahayana, thus it also incorporates the notion that every individual possesses Buddha nature. Since Newar Buddhism is dominated by Vajrayana Buddhism, the basic tenets needs to be elucidated here for Buddhist women's religious performance regarding the various observances are the ritualized form of Vajrayana Tantra. As Vajrayana is a branch of Mahayana, it incorporates its basic philosophy. Parmita Nay, Parmita Path, and Mantra Nay, Mantra Path, are the two subdivisions of Mahayana way of Buddhism. The practice of five perfections leads towards the supreme perfection, Pragya Parmita, perfect knowledge, and this is the ultimate goal of Parmita Nay, whereas attaining ultimate truth through the practice of holy mantras, recitations, mudra, seal gesture, and yogic practices, meditations are the method of Mantra Nay. The method of Parmita Nay might take uncertain time to attain Buddhahood. The latter holds quicker method to obtain nirvana even in one life. It is accessible, however, only to those people who possess higher caliber. Parmita Nay as cause and Mantra Nay as effect go together for attaining emancipation in Vajrayana. The term Vajrayana and the philosophy which revealed by this system is defined in various tantric works. Vajra, the word, is defined in Advaya Vajra Sangraha as Dridham. Should I recite the Sanskrit term or not? Okay. Dridham sar adahi avinashi cha shunyatam vajram uchyate, and in Gyan Siddhi bodhi chittani bhavet vajram, and bodhi chitta is defined in He Vajra Tantra as shunyata karuna dvaya swabhavam bodhi chittam. Thus it can be viewed that Vajra voidness and bodhi chitta are synonyms. Furthermore, chitta comprises voidness and compassion, and this linkage establishes the theory that along with Sunyata doctrine, the thought of universal compassion is also adopted by Tantric Buddhism. However, the compassion for all being was also not an advent of Tantric Buddhism, for early treatises of Buddhism are full of those thoughts which are aimed towards the liberation of all creatures of world and not only the Bodhisattvas. Buddhism in Nepal, especially in Newar society, is living through Tantric Buddhist rituals. The spiritual leaders and the followers both are engaged in religious observances. Okay, I should exceed. A good number of rituals related to Buddhist deities are performed by the lay women and by the wives of Vajracharya and Shakya under the guidance of the priest. They offer puja to particular tantric deities and follow the moral precepts described in Buddhist scriptures. The observances are denoted fortnight of the month of Ashwin, October. Vasundhara, as a member of Ratnasambhav family, has all the characteristics of Ratnasambhav Tathagat. Ratnasambhav means okay, the Vasundhara personified as the purified form of the feeling aggregates. She becomes the symbol of earth for whom every body and everything is equal. So the Nepal people worship for her first day of the bright fortnight of every month. Tara is said to be the pragya of Buddha, Amog Siddhi. She is the embodiment of air element and Dhan. She belongs to Karma family. Tara worship is very much similar to the sadhana process of visualizing Tara prescribed. Okay.
Microphone.
Actually, the paper is related to the observances and the importance of observances. So I have to say some few words. I mean, the conception of Dash Kushal Karma is different from the Dash Kushal Karma prescribed in the Dash Bhumik Sutra.
I have to stop here, but thank you so much, Dr. Mishra, for the very detailed and interesting content of your paper, and I hope that maybe you could make it available to those who need some more time to read through it, and I would be one of them very interested in your paper.
Okay, thank
you. So thanks a lot. Our second speaker this afternoon is the Venerable Dhamma Vijaya from Nepal. She is a PhD candidate at Magadha University in Bodh Gaya, India. And she will speak to us this afternoon about Buddhist nuns in Nepal.
First, I will homage to Buddha. After that, Venerable Karma Lecture, and today the program manager, and all the participants, Venerable and sisters and brothers. I feel today I am very peace and great for everybody as being a, because in this world now we have something weak, something unfavorable word, like we don't have the same as like always we feel little bit. This first session also there is a lot of about talking Kusuma, Sister Venerable Kusuma and other things. This make all of us in our mind little bit something pains. That point we must have to take as our like a duty. Today my introduction, I am from Nepal. My name is Dhamma Vijaya. Now I am living in India, Bodh Gaya. I am doing my PhD. My topics is the actually history of nun in Nepal. The Supreme One, the Buddha, was born in Nepal. Therefore, Nepal is not only Lokutar famous, but only worldly also very popular about Mount Everest, the top of the world. We can say Nepal is the ancient founder land of the Buddhism. Thousands of princes became arahant in Nepal. 5 years after the Buddha's enlightenment, his father, King Suddhodana, attained an arahantship, and the queen Prajapati Gautami, she tried many times for his ordination. For her higher ordination. At the last, they got intention the Bhikkhuni Sangha of Nepal. Over 300 years of Buddha's death, during the King Asoka period, 273 to 232 BC, Nepal was ruled by King Suntok, the Kirat king. His son married with King Asoka's daughter Charumati. She contributed Charumati Bihar and established many stupas in village. Later, Mahayana Buddhism became well rooted in Nepal up to 15th century. When the Hinduism occupied the whole India and Nepal, The celebrate monastic tradition had seriously declined in Nepal. The long-standing tradition of permanent ordination for monks and nuns had collapsed. But Buddhism was practiced by lay people, only a tradition of ordination young men as well as novices for 4 days, still continues in Mahayana. However, this tradition is not for girls. When 20th century was Theravada Buddhism established again in Nepal. Some Nepalese Buddhists were looking for an alternative to the Vajrayana Buddhism, which they were previously following. They came into contact with Mahabodhi Society of India and Luke ordination, which for women means they devote to observe the 10 precepts. After taking some religious training, when they returned Nepal and tried to spread their realistic message, they faced stark opposition from the Orthodox Hindu government. And for the first 20 years of their mission of suffered harassment and persecution and exiled. In 1928, the Prime Minister of Nepal summoned a group of Buddhist women to stop studying religious books, which according to Hinduism was only for male eyes. At that time, a woman named Lakshminani Tuladhar was the leader of this group. At that time, when only 2% of the Nepalese population was literate, she could read not only Newari but also our national language, Nepali and Hindi. She became a widow in her 20s and lost both her children. Her only solace was to follow the religion. For several years, she took refuge in the mountain among Tibetan monks and spread the Dhamma among the literate women folks of Nepal. In the early 1930s, the first Theravadian monk and nun returned from India and stayed in Kindol, Bihar, near Swayambhu. And Lakshminani Tuladhar and her followers started to hold their ceremony. In 1940s, Lakshminani and her 5 companions visited Kushinagara and met the great monk Chandramuni Mahastabir, a Theravadan missionary monk and member of the Mahabodhi Society of India. Chandramuni Mahastabir managed to send them on to Orkhan in the Burma. They stayed there with Burmese nuns and studied the Dhamma. Only when they left, they were ready. They stayed there with Burmese nuns and studied the Dhamma. Only when they felt they were ready did they shave their heads, exchange their robes for pink and orange tilasi dresses, and took 10 precepts. Due to the lack of education and inability of Buddhist books, they were unable to give Dhamma teaching to the lay disciples. They conduct puja and told Jataka stories and counseling regarding family problems. Meanwhile, the position of nuns in the committee became more marginal than the monks. In the 1940s, few nuns were living in the new nunneries, Tanabahal in Patan. Most remained at Kindol, Bihar. The monks and the government subjected them to sallies, gossips, and harassment. Several monks were jealous of the popularity of Lakshminani Tuladhar among the lay followers. They successfully pursued the Gurumas into performing for them the work of domestic servants. After the downfall of the anti-Buddhist Rana Regmi, Theravadian Buddhists moved to a representative position within Nepalese society. They started expanding and diversifying their community. To the end, they made great efforts to contract viharas, most in the Kathmandu Valley. More than 50 vihara were constructed during this period, but a few were nunneries. Lakshminani Tuladhar, the name Dhammachari, nunnery at Kindol was the largest among these monasteries. This new nunnery soon became a focal point for lay women who flocked there for instruction in the Dhamma. Towards the end of her life, nun Dhammachari expanded her nunneries, including a Dhamma study center during the rainy season. She died at the age of 1978 and offered this position as chief Guruma, like a nun of the Theravada community, to my master, Venerable Dhammavati. Venerable Dhammavati's life history gives a true picture of the situation of Nepali nun. At the age of 14, she traveled to Burma in search of religious education. Due to her young age, her parents refused to give her permission to go, so she ran away from home. She walked to Burma illegally and arrested. Finally, she got permission to study the Dhamma. For a decade, Dhammavati was only Nepalese nun studying in Burma, but in 1960, she visited Nepal briefly and arranged for some other young women to be trained at Molmin Monastery in Burma. Returning once again to Burma, she passed the 4th level examination and received the position Dhammacharya, the first Nepalese nun to do this. She was invited to remain in Burma, but deciding that her goal was to teach the Dhamma in her own country, she came back in Nepal 1964. In Nepal, Dhammavati straightway set about using her considerable intellectual and organizational skill to educate a new generation in the Dhamma. According to her, everyone, regardlessly of age, sex, or status, should have access to the Dhamma. It was her belief that in Nepal, the two highest barriers of this were illegal, electrically, and the lack of vernacular Buddhist materials. She purchased some land in the courtyard of Seagull Stupa, now we call the Small Swayambhu, and with the help of her old wishes, constructed a small nunnery and named it Dhammaketi Bihar, is the nunnery, where they taught reading, writing, arithmetic, and Buddhism, for which Venerable Dhammavati herself began producing the materials. Due to her relentless efforts, many books and pamphlets were produced. Venerable Dhammavati, meanwhile, had become not only leader in the religious education and ritual invocation, but also the undisputed center for Theravada Buddhist laywomen. But contrast in Dhammakirti, Upasika not only had a seat to Dhamma training, which in the past had been closed to them, but also with regard to the running of and planning for the temple, they had at least as much input as men. In Nepal at present, there are 60 nunneries. They live alone or in small groups. Nearly half of them are elderly, aged, and working hard to establish the Dhamma, but they need an organization to untie, cooperate, and strengthness to activities of Nepalese non-community. Venerable Dhammavati took part in the first international conference of Buddhist nuns in 1987 and received, all with other nuns, higher ordination as a bhikkhuni at Silai Temple, Los Angeles. These women from the nucleus of the Bhikkhuni Sangha in Nepal. This process is still continuing in Nepal. Thanks for all.
Can you imagine then, on less than 100 years ago, a prime minister tries to stop women from reading Buddhist texts? This is amazing. Thank you very much for your wonderful account of the challenges that Nepalese women had to face and their pioneering efforts, Venerable Vijaya. Our next speaker is Shramanira Molini Rai from Myanmar, and she will speak to us about Buddhist nuns in Myanmar.
First, I would like to respect and worship to Vandana, to Buddha, Dhamma, and all of Sangha. Well, I would like to introduce, I'm from Burma, so everybody very understanding about Burma situation. And I'd like to explain a little bit the history of Myanmar nuns, and a little bit, not very shortly. Myanmar is one of the well-known Buddhist countries. According to ancient history, the first two Buddha's disciples were from Burma. Tapusa and Balika, who got the Buddha's hair in Bodh Gaya. They constructed the stupa with the hair relics inside it. The famous in the wall, Shwetagong, the Golden Pagoda in Rangoon. During the period of King Asoka, he sent the Buddhist missionary to the 9 countries in the world. One of them is Suvarnabhumi, Myanmar among them. Bhikkhuni Sasana was introduced in the 3 countries only, Myanmar being one of them. Unfortunately, we have not any clear record according to Bhikkhuni Sasana history. Later, the Bhikkhuni Sangha changed to ordinary Buddhist nun generation. However, one vital point is that in Myanmar, the nun generation continuously up to now. From the beginning, the Burmese nun Buddhist education is lots of facilities. As a result, majority of nuns are learned in Pali. According to Chinese Tan history, during the 5th century AD, Q dynasty, in Burma, the nuns' condition were highly developed. The boys and girls must become novice and nuns when they were 7 years to 20. After that, depended on their choice. That tradition is still alive in Myanmar. Now there are over 100,000 nuns in Myanmar. They are in good studying, in instituting, in practicing, as well in the right path. The Burmese nuns are practicing the way of ancient Buddhist teaching. According to their experience, they keep in their mind this is the only way to free from worldly ignorance. The Myanmar nuns believe that practice, the Brahma Vihara, Metta, loving kindness, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, appreciative joy, and Upekkha, equanimity. Well, they realize that Buddhism is neither a metaphysical path nor a ritualistic path, neither spectacle nor dogmatic, neither Etanism or hedonism, neither self-mortification nor self-indulgence. It is neither pessimism nor optimism, but realism. It is not extrovert, but introvert. And it is a unique path of enlightenment. The Burmese nuns are understanding on the Buddhism according to Kalama Sutra. Therefore, the Buddhist Dhamma is the doctrine of reality. It is a means of deliverance from suffering. Whether the Buddhists arise or not, the Dhamma exists from all eternity. This is Buddha's realization, whichever lies hiding from the ignorant eyes. The Burmese nuns believe in Buddhism with the spirit of free inquiry and complete tolerance. It is the teaching of the open mind and the sympathetic heart which lighting and warming the whole universe with its twin ray of wisdom and compassion. Therefore, the Burmese nuns are trying to dwell Visuddhi, purification, and to reach up to Vimukti, deliverance, fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I forgot to mention that Shramanya Molini Rai is a PhD candidate at Magadha University in Bodh Gaya, India. And listening to her thought, I've thought, if in our schools our children were taught Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha, how different our world would be. Thank you. We have a change in program. Our next speaker will not be Tomomi Ito from Japan, but Dr. Chatsuman Kapil Singh, also known as Shramanya Dhammananda. She leads the Bhikkhuni restoration movement in Thailand and was ordained as a Bhikkhuni last year. And she will speak to us about maintaining inner peace. Doctor.
Respect to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And I would like to express my gratitude to Venerable Karma Lecture Somo for allowing me to be here particularly because I was not originally scheduled for this panel. And I asked Professor Ito that maybe she could change with me because I'm leaving early. So please forgive me for getting a little confused, getting the program a little confused. My topic will be maintaining inner peace, but it is a journey, my personal journey. I would like to give you a little background of what happened in Thailand as a Buddhist country. Thailand claiming to be a Buddhist country, we have 62 million people. That's the number of the population. Out of this 62 million, 95% are Buddhist. At least that's what they claim in their record. Out of these 62 million, 300,000 are monks, and about 10,000 are the white robe machis. We have 2 of them sitting with us here. In the whole country, we have something like 25,000 temples, mostly for monks. We now have 1 school for Machi. One of them will be presenting to you, what's happening in the school of Machi. And then we just start to have 1 college for Machi. Machi means white robe nun in Thailand. Right now, the first batch of their students are doing 3rd year BA under Buddhist University. I would like to take you back 700 years ago when we found the country. Thailand became country 700 years ago. That's about 13th century AD. We accepted Sri Lankan lineage of Buddhism. We declared the country to be following Theravada Buddhism from that time. But before that, we did have Mahayana Buddhist practice in the country. We did not have the lineage of ordained nun, no bhikkhuni. Then 70 years ago, that was exactly the year 1928, we had the first case of ordination of the bhikkhuni in Thailand. But it is rather complicated because the man who actually promoted bhikkhuni ordination, he was involved politically. His name was known as Narin Glung. And he caused so much opposition from the government, from the Sangha, as well as from the king. But it so happened that he supported bhikkhuni ordination, and he allowed his 2 daughters to be ordained. The government wanted to fight him back, so to say, try to disrobe the young nuns. There were altogether 8 bhikkhunis ordained from only Bhikkhu Sangha. So these 8 nuns were disrobed, were put in jail, literally put in jail, and literally the robes were taken off from their body. They were just on the floor. The Supreme Patriarch, the Sangaraja, gave an order. It was 1928, that from now on, no bhikkhu would give ordination to women, either bhikkhuni, either sikhamana, or either samaneri. So ever since then, 70 years ago, we never had any ordination. And this order is still valid. I would like you to consider this order a little bit, because we always say we follow Theravada. Theravada started from the very first council, 3 months after the Buddha's death. At the first council, it was agreed that because they could not decide, the Buddha allowed that minor rules could be given up later on if you find it cumbersome. but they could not agree which one were the minor rules and which one were the heavy rules. So they agreed that they will take everything as it is, no adding, no taking away from what was handed down. But this order of not allowing Bhikkhu to give ordination to women, is this not adding to something of the original Dharma Vinaya? So that is the big question that we have to handle. So in the year 1971, my mother came to Taiwan to be the very first woman to receive ordination from Taiwan. Her ordained name was Ta Tao Fa Zi. She was ordained at Sungsan Temple. She went back and she started her own temple, well supported by the lay people, but not recognized legally by the Sangha. I, as academic, I forgot to introduce myself. I was in academic, as an academic for 29 years before I became ordained. I am the youngest novice in this place, in this congregation, not yet fully ordained. I hope to be fully ordained next year. Well, during my academic years, my duty was a historian, recording all that happened to the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Whoever was ordained where, I would be there. You know, you name it 1988, you know, when Dhammavati was ordained from Nepal, I was there. 1996, I was not there at Sarnath where Venerable Kusuma was ordained, but I recorded her story. 1998, when they gave ordination in Bodh Gaya, I was there reporting. Not quite, I did not really have a picture of myself that I would end up being ordained too. So in the year 2001, I went to receive ordination from Sri Lankan lineage. I wanted to do it differently from my mother, because when my mother was ordained, people always say, she's Mahayana, you know, doesn't belong to us, Chinese. Even though I try to tell them that the ordination lineage is the same, but nobody wanted to listen, always discard her, you know, take her as Mahayana. I was looking for a lineage that would work in my country, and Sri Lanka is the closest, because at my age, I could not possibly learn to recite Chinese chanting, and the Pali chanting would be easier for me. Of course, my preceptor, Venerable Sattha Sumana, she has not completed her 12 years as a bhikkhuni, which is the requirement according to the Dharma Vinaya. But according to the Buddha, he said minor rules should be given up in the future if the Sangha allow, if the Sangha permit. And in her case, the Sangha permit her to be preceptor. So I take it that I'm taking the correct lineage from Sri Lanka. This is very important, you know, this crucial point is very important because people always ask about the lineage. Then I came back, I was ordained in Sri Lanka in February, trying to keep a very quiet life. Then I was invited for a television interview on 3 programs. This was a military channel. All of a sudden, all the 3 programs were banned. The mass media were really interested. Why did they ban my interviews? Other channels then approached me and asked me to give even more interviews. So ever since then I became, it's like an explosion. You know, I was trying to keep very quiet and suddenly it became an explosion. And the mass media, now we live in the mass media world, we live in IT world. So every paper was reporting about my ordination. All the channels, television channels, had my interview. The Sangha officially has not said anything about my ordination. They could not, because number one, I do not belong to them. According to them, I do not belong to them because they have not recognized the Bhikkhuni order.
Number two, I have not done anything wrong for them to investigate. So my case will never come to the cabinet of the Sangha unless I myself propose and ask to be considered into the Sangha. So officially, they have not said anything, and they cannot say anything about my ordination. But some monks have been giving interviews. You know how the mass media would go to use the microphone, interview this person, interview that person, and created so much battle, so to say. They spend so much money on printing these papers. It has been on the headline for 2 months, 2 full months on daily newspaper. Some people have been doing nasty trick, of sending nasty letters. Some of our friends here also received letters that 5 pages letters have been sending out to Sri Lanka to different connections that I do have, saying how bad personality I am, how an imposter that I am. So whatever bad things that they have written about me, I publish it in my newsletter. I'm recording it. I'm recording it for the future. For those who walk this path, they will know and they will be prepared. My friend from Sri Lanka reminded me that watch out, that they will play what you call character assassination. And unless you really practice, you cannot maintain the inner calm, the inner peace. Once you are ordained, we look for inner peace. And I think it's very important that we must always believe that Dharma will guide, Dharma will protect. Now, there was one very effective thing that they did was the Sangharaja's letter. Sangharaja meaning Supreme Patriarch. The Supreme Patriarch went to hand out certificate at the Buddhist University as he was on high stage, handing out certificates to the monks. Down below at the audience, they were handing out, like it looks like a letter from the Supreme Patriarch condemning the ordination of Bhikkhuni and even curse those who support Bhikkhuni Sangha. Now, the media, the mass media who were not present in that place thought that it was his speech. So they published outside, published in the newspaper, and many people outside thought that it has come to the end. The issue of Bhikkhuni Sangha has come to the end because the Sangharaja already said that it's a no-no. So that became very effective. In my temple, when I hear the bell, we do the chanting. So I will not trouble you with what happened. I'm sitting here. that Dharma protects. Instead, I will give you a chanting. It's a chanting of praising of the 13 Arahats. This chanting is written in Pali, and nobody ever chanted it in my country for 200 years ago. So I would like to chant that for all of us and ask for the blessing from the Bhikkhuni Arahat Theri in the past, with your permission. It will take 2 minutes, just. Ratanyunang Bhikkhuninang Hodami Chinnamaducha Tapita Akathanam Hi Satha Soting Karotuno Mahapanya Namakatha Kema Theri Dipakata Savika Buddha Setha Satha Soting Karotuno Theri Upalawana Jaiti Manti Namuttama Savika Buddha Setha Satha Soting Karotuno Vinaya Tarinang Akha Patajara Divisuta Tapita Akathanam Hi Satha Soting Karotuno Thamaka Tika Pavara Thammatina Dinamika Tapita Akathanam Hi Satha Soting Karotuno Shayikanang Bhikkhuninang Nantha Theri Dinam Mesa Akathane Tita Ahu Satha Soting Karotuno Ara Taviriyanang Akasona Teri Dinamika Tapita Tatanam Hi Sathaso Tinkaro Tuno Tipajakukanang Akasakula Iti Vesuta Vesuthanayana Sapi Sathaso Tinkaro Tuno Kuntalake Sipi Kuni Kipa Pinyana Muttama Tapita Akathanam Hi Sathaso Tinkaro Tuno Teri Pataka Bilani Bhupashadi Manusari Pasangye Wabhikuni Nang Akaso Tinkaro Tuno Teri Dupataka Jana Mahapinyana Muttama Chinena Sukatu Kamsa Sathaso Tinkaro Tuno Luka Jivaratari Nang Akaki Saki Kotami Tapita Akathanam Hi Sathaso Tinkaro Tuno Singhala Mata Pikuni Sathati Muttana Muttama Karo Tuno Mahasanting Aro Kayanja Sukhang Satha Anya Pikuniyo Saphanana Punathara Pahu Palenduno Sapapaya Sokaro Khati Sampava Sota Panna Thayo Sekha Satha Panya Silathika Phaka Sokale Sathahana Satha Soting Karo Tuno. These are the names of 13 Arahat who have been praised by the Buddha for being foremost in the wisdom, in the Vinaya, in the miracles, in their observing Vinaya, etc. So as we mention their name, we also praise them and we also ask them for blessings. And I think we need their blessings for our conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Dhammananda, for your personal and very moving account. And we cannot help but wonder what makes the ordination of one woman so threatening to the authorities. Our next speaker comes from Vietnam. It is the Venerable Thich Nhu Khan Hue, and her translator is the Venerable Thich Hue Thi, and they both come from the Vien Gio Meditation Center.
Namo Sakya Muni Buddha. Good afternoon, dear Dharma friends. We Vietnamese nuns are very honored to be invited to this conference and very happy to have this opportunity to share with you our practicing experience. And we'd like to give you a scope of the Vietnamese Buddhist nuns' activities in general and the activities of our nunnery. Now, I will talk about Vietnamese Buddhist nuns in general. The renaissance of Vietnamese Buddhism after the dead period under the French colonial regime was in full swing since 1963. In the old days, nuns' activity wasn't worth mentioning. In 1958, for the first time, we Vietnamese nuns had our own separate leadership team. After then, more and more nunneries appeared. Buddhist schools for nuns also came into existence all over Vietnam, especially in Hue, Nha Trang, Sa Đéc, Saigon, and so on. There were many famous, brilliant master nuns, but their activity was limited to temple building and disciple training within their own pagodas, or taking part in managing non-Buddhist schools. The preaching of the Dhamma was still monks' field. After 1975, under the new regime, Vietnamese Buddhist organization was reformed. nuns' leadership team didn't work anymore. Nevertheless, as the special fluctuation of Vietnamese Buddhism, our monks and nuns' activity depend almost only on their own masters. So nunneries have again activity depend almost only on their own masters. So nunneries have again appeared in great number and the nun population increased to an unbelievable amount. In Vietnam, we can say nuns population is 3 times as monks. We can see nuns everywhere. Whenever the National Buddhist Congregation open Buddhist school and university, non-student population is always the overwhelming majority. All the same is with the examination result. Nuns win the higher positions. Nuns' control standard has been raised considerably. That's a great advance in compare with our own days doing domestic work within pagodas. Now, our nuns are interested in registering for courses and at secular universities in the country, as well as in foreign ones, such as those in India, China, Taiwan, Australia, and France. However, it's a pity that non-preachers who take the noble duty of spreading the Buddha teaching to people are too few. Most of us going for studying, while the other for charity activities. These are manifestations for the benevolent and compassionate spirit in Bodhisattva practice. But in my poor opinion, it isn't enough. If we haven't mastered our mind, we'll be easily spoiled while going about doing social work. How can the result be good? Many of us fall to indulging in pleasure and fame. Some even have to return to the mundane world and works to be subjects for critical comments. Therefore, the mind training according to the Buddha wish, helping people to realize and manifest their own Buddha nature, has to be considered essential. That's why a lot of nuns want to come to practice at Chan nunneries. My Chan nunnery. Our nunnery is named Viên Chiếu. Viên Chiếu means the shining of the perfect wisdom. Founded in 1974, it was the first Chan nunnery of Chan Master Thích Thanh Từ VI in Vietnam. We were at the beginning only 15 determined nuns. Because of the war, we had a very hard time then. We lacked food, clothes, medicine, even shelter. We had to clear a portion of the jungle almost with bare hands to build a place to live and practice. We all were from the city, so we didn't know much about manual hard work and agriculture. But we were young with a strong faith in what we think the worthiest Buddha's teaching. We struggled hard during 28 years to improve our place. Day by day, more and more eager nuns and lay women have joined us. And now we've grown our own rice and vegetable and sold the surplus. Today, our nunnery is the community comes up to 100. The joining nuns have increased so greatly that we have to open 10 more chancelleries for roughly 800 nuns. We practice under the guidance of then Master Thích Thanh Từ, one of the most admired master in the present time in our country. He has revived the Zen spirit of the old days, especially the golden age of Trần Dynasty with Trúc Lâm the Great ascetic, who had been King Trần Nhân Tông, 13th century. At the end of the 20th century, our master was the first to open Chan monasteries and Chan nunneries in Vietnam. Our way of practice. What's the purpose of our practice? Is to live truly to our own Buddha nature. How to do that? We're usually carried away by our minds and less thinking. To master the mind, we have to get it free from attachment to things or delusive ideas. There are several methods to do that. Our way of practice is affected by those of the first 6 Chinese patriarchies, especially by Patriarch Bodhidharma's teaching on mind mastering given to Patriarch Huy Ke and Patriarch Huinan standpoint. To take no thoughts as our object, objectivity as our basis, and no attachment as our fundamental principle. We turn inwards to watch our mind. When we see thoughts coming and going, we keep ourselves awake, not to be involved or carried away. Once we aren't carried away, we live with a non-dualistic mind, and thus to live truly to our own Buddha nature. Daily life. We get up at 3 a.m. to seek for meditation until 5 a.m. After breakfast, we do our respective work. Some go to the rice field, some to the vegetables garden and orchards, some to the kitchen. The bigger our nunnery becomes, the more new fields we have to work. To teach at Buddhist schools, to have regular Dharma Buddhist classes for our Buddhist people, to receive guests, to write books, to train the children in the neighborhood. We also have a clinic providing free medical care for the local population. The morning chorus and at 10 o'clock. We have lunch at 11. In the afternoon, we either study sutra and chant master teachings or sit for meditation from 2 to 4 p.m. After that, we continue doing the course until 5 p.m. We have a light dinner and relax. We chant the sutra at 6 p.m. The evening meditation sitting is from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. We go back at 9 p.m. That's our daily life. Dear friends, at the present time, violence has dramatically increased all over the world. People complain this modern life gives us too many stresses and strains. More and more of us suffer from mental diseases. How many people among us can tell we found peace and feel happy every day? We can't be at peace with a troubled mind. Let each of us find peace in ourselves. Then the world peace will surely be restored, we had better chance ourselves than change the world. And the purpose of my training is to get this inner peace. We'd like to contribute to the world peace by giving people the Buddha's teaching. Anybody who makes an effort to practice under the guidance of his teaching will see the wonderful effect. This gives her faith, which helps her to make more and more progress until we succeed. These are my own ideas. I hope I will learn more experience at this conference to contribute more to world peace through Buddha's teaching. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Venerable, for telling us about the recent history of Chan in Vietnam and also about the history of your monastery and your daily practice. Our last speaker comes from the Yamjang Choling Monastery in Dharamsala, in India, and she is the Shramanera Pacha Lobsang Chodon, and she will speak to us about the educational challenges faced by young women who become nuns in the Indian Himalaya regions.
Like to all of you, to my most respectful my teacher Venerka Malaysia Somo, and all my Dharma brothers and sisters, and all the staff of Sagyadita organization. Today I would like to talk about understanding Indian Himalayan Buddhist women. Before my talk, I would like to introduce very briefly about myself. My name is Lobsang Chodon, and I became a nun when I was only 13 years old. Before I come to Jamya Chodon, I was in Spiti with my family. Understanding Indian Himalayan Buddhist women. The Indian Himalayan region stretches across the northern border of our country and includes the regions of Ladakh, Zanskar, Lahaul, Spiti, Kinnaur, Garhwal, Sikkim, and Montauban. Many of these areas are mountainous, with a severe winter climate. As a result, the people are scattered and the standard of living is not so high. Mahayana Buddhism has been the religion of the people in these areas for 1,000 years. Many excellent and well-known female Buddhist practitioners have come from the Indian Himalaya region. One example of an outstanding practitioner was a nun from Zanskar, from Dorje Jongnanari. Her name was Jomo Shilamo. In Sanskrit language, Jomo means nun and Shilamo was the name of her village. Because of her strong and sincere practice, one day while she was praying in the assembly hall of Dorje Jongnanari, she flew up and out of the window in the roof of the assembly hall and was never seen again. Many of her possessions, including her ritual hat and Dharma books, are still on display at Dorje Jongnanari. There are many other stories about famous women practitioners in the Himalayan region. This shows that if one makes great effort, it is possible to achieve high realizations in female form. Lay women's knowledge of Buddhism. From childhood, most children learn from their mothers. In the Himalayan region, every child learns the basic principle of Buddha Dharma, specifically to practice ethical discipline and refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions. Though Himalayan Buddhist lay women do not receive a very detailed education, they have very strong faith in the three jewels. Although they often struggle financially, they are happy to make offerings of whatever they can to the Sangha. These offerings usually consist of barley, butter, and dried cheese. Most girls from our areas get a chance to go to school these days, though in many families the education of the boys is still considered more important than that of girls. The education that children receive in government school is unfortunately not very good. Not only that, but our own local language and culture are also almost ignored. Of course, it is important to learn the national language and understand the mainstream culture, but some way must be found to give girls and boys a firm grounding in their own primary language and culture, to make them knowledgeable about it and proud of their own Buddhist culture. In this way, the Buddhist religion, which is very much a minority religion in India as a whole, can be preserved and continue to be beneficial for our people, because young Buddhist lay women do not have a proper understanding of Buddhism. They start to lose their religion if they leave their home areas to study outside at a college of higher education, or if they marry someone from another community. Our positive development is that private schools have been started where children are receiving an education that is more directed towards Buddhism and our own culture. In my home area of Spiti, for instance, about 300 children are receiving a much improved, low-cost education in this way. This year we are building hostels specially reserved for girls, making sure that at least half the students will be female. Some financial help is received from the government and the rest has come from private fundraising. Nuns in the Indian Himalayas. As mentioned earlier, there have been many famous nuns from the Himalayas. Often, when a girl becomes a nun, she stays at her home. She receives no secular or philosophical education. She may know how to read text, but she is not taught to consider their meaning. Since there is a great shortage of qualified teachers, male or female, in our nunneries, nuns often do not get a chance to study their religion properly. Often they then stay at home acting as little more than servants. Some years ago, Venerable Malaysia Somo began to have nunneries in Sipiti, Kinnour, and Jaskar, but it has been very difficult to find excellent teachers because of the remoteness of these areas, the harsh living conditions. The number of nuns living together in any one nunnery is therefore very small. Venerable Dr. Chirang Palmo, who studied medicine at the Tibetan Medical College, Mejikang, in Dharamsala, returned to her native Ladakh and developed a program of studies for pre-existing nunneries. She has also found it difficult to find excellent teachers. The Indian government has some funds available for building classrooms and hostels. My nunnery Jamya Chuni. In 1988, Venerable Malaysia Soma founded Jamia Chuling with the vision of educating Himalayan Buddhist nuns who would otherwise have no opportunity to receive any formal schooling or spiritual education. Jamia Chuling is a non-sectarian institute that recognizes the beauty and value in understanding all Buddhist traditions. Its programs integrate meditation, philosophical debate, and community awareness as a daily practice. The institute is in Dharamsala, close to His Holiness Dalai Lama's residence in exile. Many nuns from the Indian Himalayan region came to study at Jamia Chuling. We are among the first group who arrived in 1989. Since then, we have had the opportunity to study 5 major Buddhist philosophical texts. We have had many excellent and well-known Buddhist philosophy teachers. We are among the first group of nuns in recent times to have the chance to study these major texts that were traditionally studied in monasteries. We have had the chance to study for the last 13 years because of the kindness of Venerable Karma Leshik Somo and other Buddhist friends who have supported us. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has encouraged many improvements in this education of nuns in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. For instance, in 1995, he instituted a winter debate tournament where nuns from nunneries in India could gather every year to develop their understanding through reasoning and argument. This has benefited our studies greatly. Previously, only monks had this custom of attending a winter debate season, or Jang Bunjo as it is called. Other Indian nuns are now studying well in nunneries in India set up by the Tibetans in exile. When we have finished our studies, our main aim is to improve Buddhist education for women from the Indian Himalayan regions. Some of us will go back to our home areas, but our nunnery, Jamyan Solim, will remain an important center for training Buddhist women Buddhist teachers. Since Dharamsala is very important center for Buddhist studies, so there is a great need to extend our facilities there. If we can raise the money to build a many new hostel and so on, we will increase the enrollment of nuns. Many will be from poor families and will need outside financial help to study in Dharamsala. We hope that we Indian Buddhist nuns who are now receiving a good education can have a positive influence in reviving the Buddha Dharma in the Indian Himalayas and also in bringing peace to the wider world, Buddhist and non-Buddhist alike, in accordance with the wisdom and teaching of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings avoid equanimity free of bias, attachment, and anger. May all sentient beings not be spared from soulless bliss. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And it is wonderful to know that there's hope for your country because you and your group are being formed in India and you'll go back there to teach. I don't know, is there time for questions? I leave this.
5 minutes.
5 minutes for questions, so be quick. Yes, here, please.
Just a quick question to clarification to Nivedita. Get sons, you said putra.
Okay, thank you. No, not only to get sons, but to get prosperity, to get married, everything.
Also sons.
Also sons, of course.
So what I want to know is this daughters are excluded. That is
Offspring, actually offspring. But in Southern Kundrik it is mentioned like Puluputra. Puluputra. So you may consider sons or daughter both, I don't know. But it is for offsprings in general practice.
Tired from listening to two panels. Now there's a question here.
I like to ask Venerable.
Can you please put on your microphone? We cannot hear you.
Can we get a text of that recitation you made about the bhikkhunis?
Yes, I publish it in the newsletter. It's romanized in English already. And you could get a tape also. I think I have already given one to Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Yes, the text was written by a Thai monk 200 years ago in Chiang Mai. This part was not recited because it deals with women. They recite the part that deals with the monks and, praise to the Buddhas, praise to the monks, but not to the female arahat.
Very beautiful.
Yes. So I think that it is, in Christianity, they have to write a new liturgy, to fit our own spiritual need. So I think it is important for us to be aware, visualize female, listen to the voice that you said about voice of women. I think it's very important that we become aware, feed our eyes, our ears, our nose, our everything, with the female feature, female femininity, to balance, not to do away with the male. I think that would be wrong, but to balance between the yin and the yang within ourselves, so that we become a whole person.
I think this is it. Thank you very much for your patience and for listening, and I'll give it to the organizers now.
Okay, we would like to thank all the presenters once more. And thank our facilitator, Dr. Alvido. Thank you very much. We all have a very long day, and I'm sure that you are all looking forward to getting some rest back to Huafan. So I will now move out to meet the staff, and we'll be, we'll be moved on to the bus, and we'll go directly back to Huafan. And except for the local planning committee members, please stay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and also, and also we'll have our dinner at 6 o'clock at Huafan. Okay, so we'll now move back to Huafan, and then we'll have dinner at 6 o'clock in the restaurant. Okay. Okay, may I also have Ngalawati from Nepal?
Tonight. Not horses. That's terrible. One is Professor DeVito from National Normal University. She's very humorous, very cute, very pretty, yes, lovely, and very tall. And the other is Roseanne Fries from USA. So they are going to host the games tonight. 今天晚上呢，我们请的是。
Should we speak English first? Because mostly English.
English first, and then.
Okay. ちょっとね。Okay, this is a game, so we all get to know each other. And this is a game, so this is how we play this game. We have many people from different countries. So everybody now find a new friend from another country. and you sit next to them.
今天晚上我们有一种很好玩的游乐，是因为好多人来了已经认识的，但是好多人来了还是陌生，所以你要找一个你不认识的人，尤其是不是你自己国家的人，跟他坐在一块儿。
If there is someone who can translate into Korean, can someone please help? Okay. We find a friend from another country. Please find a friend from another country. So Actually, I'm still eating it. Unless we should go inside.
Baby. Yeah. So what part of Korea are you from? Hi. Korea. Oh, 얘도 따라오네. The south? Oh, Seoul. Okay. South. Oh. And your first year? No, second, third year? First year. First year.
Original time to time they are going on.
禅宗讲教外飞船啊，教外教外。
干嘛去转机出嫁回来？
I know. No lusting at the doctor.
So let's be around.
Conference hall, this is where we come for the panel discussion. And then for meditation every morning, it's upstairs, the second floor. For meditation in the morning, 6 o'clock, meditation. I can't wait to wake up for that. Okay, this building, wonderful system for us. We are the very first group to use this conference hall. Originally, it was not scheduled to be finished at this time, no. They tried everything to make this ready for us. Okay, so we have to thank again, Taiwan University, they did a wonderful job. Okay. 我们要谢谢华办，我们特别要感谢华办大学这个。我们还在试这个系统，所以呢，我们要努力的 chant pray。
希望明天
一切，我相信一切都会好。I believe that everything's going to work tomorrow, just like the landslide. It was clear, right? And the rain stopped for our conference. So. Again, I have to, may I also, remind you not to bring any drink or food into this conference hall. We're going to have our food or snacks in the restaurant, or we'll have a reception area, refreshments out there, not in this hall. No food, no drinks in this hall. We want to keep it as it is, brand new, right? And also for the restroom, toilet. For the toilet, if you need to go WC, okay? Okay, it's on both sides, okay? And for toilet paper, please don't dump them into the toilet. There are baskets move back to the dorm. Some of you are still interested in having some more group fun together. Those of you who would like to do more group fun, feel free to join the staff over there. Okay, and for those of you who would rather rest, please feel free to do so too. We'll have staff taking you back to the dorm as well.
请等一下好不好？那个，对不起，请等一下。对不起，我请等一下哈。因为你一直讲英文，我又听不太能够。
我现在要讲中文的，对不起。好，师傅对不起。Okay, I'm going to speak Chinese now. 待会儿我们看完这个上面的这个就是我们的这个静坐的。
It's all right. Thank you very much. No problem.
들어가는 순간 내쉬는 숨을 아주 천천히 바로 흡착을 이룬 마음이기 때문에 이 마음이 바로 트레이너로서 자기 하루를 점검해 주십시오. Our mind should focus on the becoming the Buddha. That is the purpose of We will do 10 minutes walking meditation.
關13鄉殿內的第
outside the hall, okay? We have a table there, okay? So please come to the table. And then, especially for those who need to leave on the 15th and the 16th, we need to help you confirm your flights back. For Taipei City Tour, we will visit National Palace Museum. For temples, we will go to Ciji in Hualien and Foguangshan in the village if possible. We will have the detailed itinerary ready for you later. Sorry, but I believe that we would all agree that we do not charge our nuns. Free for nuns. But again, please make sure you go sign up, please. And she's from Italy, but she speaks perfect Mandarin. She'll be speaking in Mandarin, okay? So put your earphone on from now on. You're gonna be listening to the English simultaneous translation. And our simultaneous translator in the back, she's doing a fantastic job. She's not necessarily familiar with all the Buddhist terminologies. But because we just got her in the very last minute, okay, again, in permanent plan, okay? But let's welcome Stefania, and we'll let Stefania begin. Thank you.
各位法师、各位贵宾，大家早安，阿弥陀佛。
Louder, please.
欢迎来华梵大学参加第7届夏克利达国际佛教妇女的大会。我们今天早上研讨会的主题是台湾的佛教妇女。我们开始之前要说明一下会议的规则。每发表人有15分钟的时间来发表，然后呢，发表时间剩3分钟，我们可以抄一次。发表结束了，15分钟到了的时候，我们可以抄2次，超过1分钟会抄3次。好，我们发表结束以后，我们可以开放问题与讨论。我们请大家用1分钟的时间来发他们的问题，要不然没有那么多人可以发问题。好，我们可以先开始。我们今天有5位发表人，第1位是传道法师，传道法师是中国佛教研究院毕业，现在是鸟心寺主持，也是中华佛教派客文献基金会的董事长。传道法师的论文题目是《台湾的佛教妇女》，请师父开始。
主席，各位贵宾，各位善女人，大家好。我可以说是最常作为这个台湾佛教妇女的引言呢，是意外，也是荣幸。传道以1届的比丘身份呢，而获邀呢本届国际佛教妇女大会担任主题引言，想来大概是本人呢参与了昭惠法师会时8件法的实际行动，以及呢写文章支持这一个活动的一个因缘。那么佛教说华不孤其长言方生。那么世界上没有说单独一样事情成功的，也是同样的道理世界上有难有泥那么在台湾佛教的特殊环境生态来看呢，台湾佛教的这个蓬勃发展呢，后面都有一群很热心的妇女无论是在家，无论是出家，在后面支撑的、奉献的他们的心力。 与精神。那么，甚至当今台湾佛教优秀的佛教女性辈师，无论在法理的研究诠释上，或者社会参与的贡献上，都可以独当一面，而凌驾于我们男性之事。那么，究竟台湾佛教妇女在台湾佛教史上扮演着怎么样的角色功能？期间又经过怎样的转换角色？以下个人尝试以一位比丘的观点来大家略探台湾佛教妇女的过去、现在与未来。我们先来谈谈台湾佛教妇女的过去与现在。在战前，台湾妇女由于种种客观的因素，参与这个斋教发生了密切关系。他们或者入住斋堂，成为带法修行的斋夫，或者皈依信仰，成了在家常斋的斋教徒。尽管斋教他自己有属于自己的教典以及他的仪式。
师父，对不起，要下。
Okay, English speakers. Okay, there's a volume adjustment on your equipment, so you can adjust that yourself. Turn the volume on. Yeah, the turning thing. Okay, ask your neighbor for it. Turn up the voices. 对不起，因为那个机器他们比较不熟，所以要把那个声量调大一点。对不起，法师，阿弥陀佛。
大一点。OK，虽然这个台湾的这个妇女呢，佛教妇女呢。在早期战前的时候在这个斋夫这个斋堂里头生活，那这个斋堂里头虽然它有自己的教典、教义仪式，但是和佛教的禅宗关系很密切，如龙华派，还有先天派，还有金童派等。所以斋夫们常住在庵堂，平日呢就过着禅净并宗的清净精修生活。在1895年日本占据台湾前后，台湾佛教僧侣前往中国大陆的闽南鼓山涌泉寺受具足戒的时候呢，越来越多那么其后便在台湾开创了好几个佛教道场。这些寺院法派又以时代环境的因素随而聚集于日本曹洞宗与临济宗两宗派下。这是因为于谦翁西来庵事件以后呢，为了自保而寄托于日本的两个宗派，并逐渐呢收受了一些斋夫皈依佛门。到了大正时期，台湾各大道场终于有了独立传戒的能力。台湾的佛教史上，于是呢有了比丘尼僧的出现。不过维持斋夫的信仰形式则仍然占佛教的妇女的多数。在1925年四大法脉的这个大湖法云寺的开山祖师觉力法师呢，当时为一善堂的皈依女众徒弟呢，向南岩佛教会争取于该堂呢开办女众特别的讲习会，以愿开启了妇女学佛的大门。这此举呢，不但使得妇女接受佛学教育的机会大增，还促使这些斋夫纷纷的改斋堂为佛寺，甚至唤起了部分佛教妇女的自主意识，以及对于弘法布教乃至于革新台湾尼僧团的使命感。这也是法云寺派下获离毗卢寺与中和的圆通寺新建的因缘，显见此时的台湾佛教妇女已然从不问世事的隐遁潜修呢，走入社会关怀准备担当这个改造社会的责任。另外有一些新佛教女性则选择赴日本佛教高等学府深造，企图借由佛学素养的提升来扭转佛教妇女备受压制的劣势，如创办法光寺与法光佛研所的儒学尼师， 以及乡至白胜长老洪焕比尼二部受戒，最得力的智手天一尼斯就是典范的代表人物。在1949年，大批的中国僧侣逃难来台湾，过着流离失所，甚至动辄被关上魔环通毁罪名而被捕下狱的日子。现在台湾出家在家佛教妇女的真诚扶持，一方面给予生活物资实际上的协助，一方面又依止其修学佛法，台湾佛教因而开展了另一番天地。比如贤观、达心、修观、持观，是为比丘尼之于慈昂法师的护持又如慈惠、慈庄、慈容、慈仪等佛光山比丘尼众之于星云法师的相制，由此更缔造了比丘尼众护持比丘尼僧、比丘尼僧为法共治的台湾佛教模式。其余呢，如在家佛教女性张清阳居士对于那些来台湾被捕的僧侣的真正的关怀与护持，也可以说功不可没。虽然在台湾佛教当今的这种传戒制度有一些值得我们商榷的，但是在战后这个传戒的制度对台湾佛教僧众清净形象的建立为时别具意义。它同时也是大批台湾斋姑转换为比丘尼身份的重要关键。不过1953年首先发起传戒的大仙士，却是靠着东山禅师圆融尼师的居间获贤，才得到中国佛教会的认可，终而活着传戒。圆融尼师的高侄天一尼师则更是戒堂上的传奇人物。当年白胜长老还曾经请他代讲沙弥尼戒呢。不过，身为尼众天一尼师在戒场上仍然免不了受到其他比丘甚至沙弥的轻慢，但是他终生致力于比丘尼身份的提升，以戒场教育的贡献，所不容我们忽视的。战后，另外有一件值得一提的是佛学院的创立。1948年，圆光寺的主持妙可和尚邀请正在新加坡弘法的慈安法师来台湾办佛学院，因此带动了台湾的僧女求学的热潮。除此以外，还有应圣导师对于尼众的佛学教育，原本由于不忍出家僧女失学而在福源精舍开办半天课，却在演培法师以一同事贤僧尼师的合力促成之下，创办了新职女众佛学院。应圣导师也因此因缘呢收了女众出家弟子，如慧瑜、慧离、慧莹等尼师。当时台湾社会的民风保守，为了让逐渐增加的女众弟子接受佛学教育，安心办道，应圣导师也承受了不少质疑的眼光与压力。不过，确实已经踏出战后专为佛教女性办学的第一步。在60年代以后，台湾经济呢逐步起飞，伴之而来的是社会繁荣与教育的普及。由于都市化的结构呢，人心的疏离感加深了，宗教信仰之于普罗大众也就异形重要起来。加上1971年退出联合国以及继而来的与日本美国断交的冲击再使台湾的政治社会趋于多元化并有回归本土的声音出现。台湾佛教乃至其他新兴宗教，就在这时代淬炼了蓬勃发展起来。身此期间的台湾佛教女性，由于教育水准、经济能力、自主意识已经比较过去提高，而台湾佛教又在很多数的这种僧侣的努力经营之下，逐渐展现其入世立身的活力起来，投入行内 出家行列以及在家护持者越来越多，事实也越来越高。尤其一些杰出的佛教妇女对教育、文化、慈善、医疗乃至于社会关怀、生态关怀等面向的贡献呢，可谓丝毫不让须弥更令台湾社会原本男尊女卑的价值观呢逐渐瓦解，而佛教健康正面的形象日渐势立诸如创办华梵大学的小云尼师，任教于台湾大学的恒清尼师，任教于清华大学的慧妍尼师慈济功德会的正言尼师成立相关尼僧团的心智悟音名家朱尼师，护教护生，从事社会关怀、政治关怀、动物关怀，冯氏学团的昭慧信广二尼师彼等，他们所成就的一切，在台湾佛教史上具有其定位。尤其昭慧信广两位尼师以及洪氏学团，更可谓后印顺时代弘扬及实践人间佛教与印顺导师思想的法将乔石。当代台湾佛教如果缺乏上面所举的一群女中丈夫，将失去了非常多的彩色。那么现在来谈谈未来台湾佛教妇女的期许。台湾佛教的信仰者向来是女众多于男众，即使在出家方面来讲，也是比丘尼占多数。根据学者的统计，他比较保守说1比3，换句话说，比丘一个比丘尼就有3位。诚如台湾佛教史学者江灿腾博士所说的他说这些出家尼众呢，他们是台湾佛教各寺院的主力干部、经济大臣和事务专家比丘尼呢多于比丘，这也是亚洲佛教史上罕见的佛教现象，是台湾地区特有的佛教文化所形成的结果可以说，当代佛教台湾佛教表面上是以男性法师为主，而实前呢则是操诸于女性手上。无可讳言的，台湾佛教之所以有当今蓬勃发展，过去与现在的台湾佛教妇女居功结伟但是展望未来的台湾佛教，出家在家的佛教女性又该发挥怎么样的角色功能呢？才不至于落入成也萧何，败也萧何的尴尬境界呢？这一个命题为是值得我们深思以深探讨。教师与信众之间如果缺乏法义的提示长此以往发展出来的佛教不免情重于法，依人而非依法，所增添的恐将是世俗的烦恼，而非是生命的提升与进化那更不要谈上超胜于世间的智慧了。所以尽管佛教事业经营的多么庞大风光，办学也好，慈善也好，修行也好，如果对于佛法的法要一知半解，甚至知而不行，却尽在人情世功与形式上做工，甚至呢有相似的佛法，那才是台湾佛教最大的危机。还有另外一个危机，就是来自于在家信众的盲目护持与过多的供养所以在这个地方，我们了解到情味与金钱对凡夫而言，永远是向下沉沦的腐蚀剂。所以对部分的在家女性付出，所以希望从此以后呢委婉出家在家的广大妇女呢，都能以此为鉴，建立自己的正知正见，扩大自己的格局视野。那么比起丈夫我育儿，即使台湾未来尽是比丘尼的天下，希望大家共同来反省与探讨。谢谢。
谢谢专导法师，谢谢你。而且对不起，因为这个会议题是新的，今天是第一次用过，所以会发生麦克风的问题。所以我们请师父发票来为自己调整麦克风的声量，大家。既不毕业，现在文法师是相关佛教理中学院院长。文法师论文的题目是低举反向佛教妇女的自觉。我们请师父开始，谢谢。
持人，各位大德，大家好。今天我来讲的这个题目是叫提起放下，其实它的副标题是佛教妇女的自觉。佛教妇女的自觉，在台湾也一直还在讨论，而且喧闹不停的是男女的不平等问题。也就是说，常常要在八件法上面去争论谁尊谁卑，或者是生性方面谁尊谁卑的问题，到现在都还没有争论，有一个结果，导致呢，在达赖喇嘛第一次来台的时候，就是1997年3月的时候，他那时候来的理由是说要，就是比丘尼的一个传承问题，要在台湾取得台湾的经验。他第一次来，我个人呢还是有去见他，同时提供了我的建议。他说还在考察，等到第二次呢又来了呢，还是再去看他，还是在考察。所以这样继续考察下去呢，我是觉得说，考察还是要考察，因为这个是传统的问题。所以既然是传统，那我就从传统来说起。台湾佛教大家现在很重视的是一个叫做台湾的经验，所以我就用这样的题目，就是佛教比丘尼在台湾的经验。佛教比丘尼在台湾的经验，就从传统来说，刚才传道法师也已经叙述过了。我所要说的呢，好像他也大部分都说过了。第一个呢，就是当然是历史的溯源跟身份的认同。在台湾的比丘尼实际上非常的幸福，我们有长老大德们，他们认同了比丘尼的这样的身份，因为佛陀的僧团里面呢，佛陀的弟子里面本来就有7众弟子，有出家、在家，而且比丘尼本来就在佛的制度里面有，在中国大乘佛教里面还是有。所以相形之下呢，我到了南传的国家，到西藏的藏系的国家去看呢，就觉得呢，好像呢，除了身份的认同，在这个地方呢，我们能够得到比丘尼戒。当然也有很多人就到台湾来受戒，甚至呢，台湾很多的大德就到菩提伽亚去传戒，还是希望呢，大家能够有这样的身份认同。而在这样的身份认同的当下呢，可以看到的是长老大德的认真跟努力。当然，这个地方也有比丘尼呢，就是孜孜酷，没有忘记自己的身份认同，尤其是主体的身份。这是一个